Well, another level up yours. How rare these are now. Hello, everybody. It's me, Will. With me always is Jordan.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, no, it's been a little while. We're still working through a slump in our lives, but we thought, hey, we'll change it up this week. Maybe get some demos out, do a little talk show because it's been months.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, so we were
It's
like, let's just do something a little different for us.
yeah, chat a little bit about some stuff we've heard in the gaming sphere's news. One of which involved something that Jordan and I talked about prior to any recordings we've done, which was the Game Awards and the stupid quote that Jeff Keighley said. So I told you about this, is how Dave the Diver was nominated for an award in in
Well, it was
Independent, and
nominated and more than just independent, but yeah.
yeah. Well, the thing is, Dave the Diver is funded by a company that is much larger and developed by a fairly large company. And with that in mind, people were not very happy. Even though Dave the Diver is a good game, it just people were unsure if it was fit to be in the independent category.
Yeah. And I'm actually on Steam now. I was seeing if we could still look at our votes, but it doesn't look like they're holding that anymore. So,
No, no.
oh well. For anyone curious, I voted pretty much like 70% of the votes went straight to Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Okay, like that's
Oh,
my
that's
game
for
of the year.
Steam.
Deal with it. Oh, there was another one we were supposed to vote. Oh yeah, that was online. I remember doing that as well.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Game
Oh yeah.
Awards.
Oh yeah.
What you're
Let me
talking about
look.
is the Steam Awards.
I think Steam's a little more trustworthy at this point. But
Yeah,
okay, let's go back to the Game Awards.
right. And I agree with you, because there was a statement recently from Jeff Keighley regarding Dave the Diver's representation, and what happened was he said in this quote, and I'm reading this from Games Radar. The quote goes,
Whoa!
independent can
Hey,
mean
hey,
different things
dude.
to different people. And it's sort of a broad term, Keeley says. You can argue, does independent mean the budget of a game, or does independent mean where the source of financing was? Is it based upon the team size? Is the kind of independent spirit of the game meaning a smaller game that is different? It's really a complicated thing to figure out and come up with strict rules around it. So we let people use their best judgment, and you can agree or disagree with the choices. Now, I that speaks to me saying like, oh,
We're
we
pretty easy
consider it
right there.
independent because it looks like what you would
Independent, yeah.
see for an independent
Well, you
game.
know what? I logged back into it. I remember voting this year. It literally now says I voted for nothing. So
Yeah,
they're probably erasing people's votes too.
either that or there
Oh
might have been a
shoot.
glitch. I don't know, but yeah, that is the Dave the
That
Diver
is
controversy
sad.
continued,
Oh
and
man.
of course, also some people were unhappy regarding the lack of Xbox representation, particularly with
Well,
Starfield. But I'm
creeping.
like, of the games you're gonna try and argue for representation with Xbox, Starfield, really?
That's that's the one right there, yes.
Yeah. But other than that, I just voted for whatever I felt deserved the votes, and the only thing that I can hope is that the award show does not have any crashers again. That's all I can ask for.
Hopefully no one runs up on the stage this year.
Yeah, like that's when Keeley asked like, "Oh, what would you like to see at the Game Awards?" on Twitter. And yes, I'm still calling it Twitter because fuck Elon Musk.
Yeah, I'm not sending an X to my ex on X.com because X is a stupid name for a social media site that I'm still following my ex on all these years later.
Yep,
Because, yes, an X between an X is exactly what we need to do on X.
yep. And I'm not going to call it Zitter. So yeah,
I mean, at that point, it makes more sense to maybe say Zyder, but yeah, that, no. It's
that's
shitter
definitely
now. If you want me
a
to pronounce
situation.
the X,
But
I'm going to call it shitter.
yeah, what he
Because
ended
it's
up
a
posting,
shittier version of Twitter. Also,
yeah,
I love that Musk just on stage was like, "Fuck the advertisers" a week or two ago. I'm like, wow, you are speed running, killing a company. Like you are literally saying in the holiday season, like, "Hey, Disney, everybody who might question putting an ad on my website, fuck you for thinking that this isn't the place for you. Also, I don't need you because my site's the best."
even though he's been
Okay,
erasing
Mustang.
features and basically killing possible engagement, and also the bots have been the worst they've ever been.
Oh yeah, yeah, Mister. I don't want to buy this website because there's bots on it. Uh huh. Yeah, yeah. You tell me if you feel that way after you sink the company into the ground and actually need bots in order to run any form of quality control on a site that's quickly turning super alt right and uncensored.
Yeah. But nonetheless,
Ooh.
Jeff Keighley posted on Twitter about like what would you like to see? And people were immediately like, for the love of God, please get some better stage security that doesn't just kind of saunterly walk up to the stage when people try to go onto it.
Don't hire me after 10 burritos from Taco Bell.
Yep. It's
I
just
will come up to that stage, but it ain't gonna be snappy.
yeah, it got pretty bad with not only the Game Awards from last year, but also the Summer Games Fest from this year, and then another time, not Jeff Keighley related, but another gaming event. I think it was like a Tekken tournament somewhere. Got interrupted by environmental activists throwing paint onto the projector whilst one of the matches was going on, and like clockwork, the security was super slow, and it was just really, really just awkward.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely horrible.
Yeah. I mean, imagine that
I
happening
don't
at
watch
Evo.
a lot of esports, but yeah. Oh my god, if that happened at Evo.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, I would probably laugh my ass off. Just
I don't know. I think
yeah.
people found it
I
kind of
mean, it's
funny in
horrible. I don't like
2022 a
it,
little
but
bit, but at this point, all of us
well, I
just
mean,
kind
let's
of want the
face it.
show
In
to go along so that we
2020s
can watch the
in
trailers and then
general,
just move on with our lives. I mean, at
yeah,
this
the
point, that's what the
2020s
Game
in
Awards
general are
is
just
at this point. It's just for us to
sad.
watch more trailers and then speed run a lot of awards without really giving a whole lot of credit.
You know, I'll give you that because, like, in many ways, the Game Awards is it replaced E3.
No, I will
Like,
say
it
that
to me, it has because what event do we have really other than like Summer's Games Fest, which it gives us a lot of new trailers, but I don't feel like everyone hopped on the train for it yet. But E3 was like the thing everyone did until it got canceled this year. And then it's
yeah,
like,
well, my opinion
but
of
the
it is
Game
more
Awards
like
feels like a must watch, and now there's so many reveals there. I'm like, are we just replacing E3 with the Game Awards?
I mean, I would be of the opinion that the Game Awards is just trying to be something that it clearly is not going to ever be. And frankly, it doesn't need to be it, but the perception is just, oh, we want to have the similar kind of situation that Hollywood has with the Oscars, but no one should attempt to be the Oscars.
Yeah, I mean, even if we made it about music, it's like, okay, yeah, video game artists probably should also get Emmys because have you heard some of these soundtracks? Hot damn.
Mm-hmm.
That said, the Emmys aren't going to give y'all any stage time, so it is kind of cool that we made our own organization do that.
Right.
But maybe the Emmys should be the Emmys and we should be our own thing.
Well, I'm just of the mind, like, I'm just only going to be there to watch trailers and just see like X game of the year sweep every kind of category you can find. Only other thing that I can think of that could be very interesting is, I don't know, maybe we have another 10-minute long speech like what happened last year with Christopher Judge. You remember that?
Actually,
So what happened last year was that the voice actor for Kratos in the new God of War games, a guy by the name of Christopher Judge, went up on stage and had one of the longest, no, it was the longest acceptance speech, I think, for any award show. And part of the reason why I think he did that, and a lot of other people think he did that, was because the Game Awards at the time were giving away Steam Decks. So during that time, I guess a lot of people managed to get their Steam Decks due to Christopher Judge taking more time to do a longer acceptance speech for his performance. So that's a fun little
I didn't
fact.
even know that was why. I knew he won, and I knew he had a pretty long speech. I didn't realize it was the longest. Like, okay.
Yeah, let me double check the length of that for you, because it was really
Yeah,
like
me
I
too.
remember
I'm
watching it
curious.
live, and I'm just like, I'm playing something on the side, watching this go down, and I'm like, is he still going? But then I learned that people were actually legitimately getting more Steam Decks due to him having a longer speech. Okay, not 10, but almost 8-minute long speech. And it's the longest one accepted. It's the longest acceptance speech in history. So there you go.
For him, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would almost be of the opinion that a lot of other games that got nominated for the awards are ones that got already kind of had a spot reserved, despite the fact that they came out so close to the awards. Like Alan Wake 2, I hear a lot of good things about that, but it feels like it's cutting it a bit close to the Game Awards actual showing on the 7th to nominate it, I feel, you know?
Well, I'll say this, like, at the very least, it deserves a lot of community love, because I remember when I first built a gaming machine, Alan Wake was one of those games that made me become a PC gamer. I remember getting the QR codes in it and all that, and I'm really glad to see it back. Like, I'm hyped to play it. But I haven't had a chance to play it before the Game Awards. So I can't really vote on it for anything. Like, it did release a little close. It didn't get as much coverage as a lot of games going on this year, because this year's been really packed with a lot of good games. And I mean, that's not Alan Wake's fault.
No.
But I feel like it's a really good game that has a lot of like fan demand that just came out at a really shitty time that may somewhat negatively affect it. But I'm really glad to see Alan Wake back.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what Alan Wake was really before I heard some reviews of the first game, and when news of the second game was coming around and people were excited about it, I was just kind of observing it, being like, well, y'all be happy about that. I'll just be here being excited about Dragon Quest Monsters 3 and Yakuza like a Dragon Gaiden coming out, and all these other games that. I mean, that's just the beauty of this year, though, is that there's been at least one or two games that will be for somebody.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I cannot fault this year in gaming, because this year in gaming has been phenomenal.
It's been insane.
There's been something for everybody. Hell, one of the demos we're playing this week's from an indie developer. It can't get any recognition at the Game Awards because it dropped like 2 weeks ago. And yeah, no, I mean, every day we're getting something great.
Every day.
Like,
and in particular, I'm excited for.
Should have been the year of Luigi.
What?
I was just making the joke. Like, remember Nintendo's whole year of Luigi shit? It's like, man, imagine if that was in 2023.
That was
Make 2023 the year of Luigi.
That was 10 years
like,
ago.
This
Oh
Luigi's second coming. Like, yo.
Do you think they'd actually do that? Do you think they'd do a year of Luigi 2 because it's been 10 years?
Honestly, I wish they would.
I mean, it definitely
I
was an
wish they
interesting
would.
period in Nintendo's history.
I mean, honestly, I'd like to see them do it for more characters. Why only Luigi? Like,
Year of Wario.
hell, make the state, dude. I would be all about that.
Yeah. Year
Year
of
of
Waluigi.
Peach, year of fucking Daisy, year of
I would accept a
Waluigi.
Year of Daisy
Yeah,
hand over
it's
fist, thank you.
Waluigi time.
I mean, shit,
Yeah,
there's already been
like,
like a lot of posts on Twitter lately about
dude,
Water Peach or
dude.
something being like, hey,
Yeah,
let's have an evil counterpart Peach.
no, no, no. Literally, they when they were making Waluigi, they also were working on Water Peach or Water Peachy at the same time, and she had an axe. They've already had the original 3D model. The original designer put everything out there, and he's like, "Yeah, it was turned down by Nintendo, but she was also going to be in the Mario Tennis game on the N64. It was a denied character design, so people kind of want to see that come back. Maybe not in the original design, but they're like, yeah, why do the guys get watery, equivalents and not the princesses? That could be kind of fun. And so that's where the discussion kind of is right now, and I like it. I like that that was actually considered at one time, even if it was turned down as an option.
It's been
But yeah, too bad. Waluigi time. I would love it if they announced like Year of Luigi 2, and then before it happens, we literally get the meme. Charles Martinet like walks on the stage as the Mario ambassador, right? Like, because he's no longer the voice actor, he comes out, he's the Mario ambassador. He's gonna say like, and here is the first game from the Year of Luigi 2, right? And then you just hear him do the Waluigi voice. He's like, too bad, Waluigi time. And
that
it's
would
like
be pretty
the
funny.
first mainline Waluigi game.
Oh
It's the
man,
year
people
of
would shit their
Waluigi.
pants, dude.
Dude, I would love that so much.
I mean, because Wario already has a lot of his own standalone games.
Well, yeah, and here's my thing. Like, Pizza Tower is essentially a Wario game. The original Wario gameplay style works in the modern day, but they don't return to that because honestly, the character Wario is now really tied into WarioWare.
Yeah.
So I feel like having Waluigi kind of
Take
being
up
the
the mantle of
meme,
those platformers.
yeah, like he's stringy. You could really play with that. He's an underhanded cheater. Make that part of the power ups, busting through levels at high speed, having to go back to the start because things went absolutely wrong. Play him up as a comedic character because he is. And, I think it could really work. Like the few times they use Waluigi, he always falls flat on his face. He's that guy who's got all the fucking bravado in the world, but when push comes to shove, like he fails miserably. So just have this game where he's like running for his life. Things
Oh
are
my
going
god.
absolutely crazy. It would be great.
It just dawned on me. Waluigi is basically
Yep.
live action Buggy the Clown. Like
Essentially, yeah.
he's like the live action Buggy the Clown. Oh
In a way,
god.
yeah.
Cuz like
Yeah. Imagine that. Yeah. That kind of works. Just a premise kind of like that. Like he's gotten everything in the world, but it's his own hubris that's always his downfall.
I mean, it also makes sense considering that there's a really large portion of people, one of whom is a very good friend of mine, who actually has a thing for Buggy the Clown. So I imagine Waluigi could end up with the same kind of fan base.
I mean, he already has a huge fan base. Like, I almost consider it criminal. Like, they have Nabbit, okay? Nabbit is now a main character in a freaking Mario platforming series, okay? He's the easy mode, yes, but it's like, okay, you've made this little, like, throwaway little purple bunny dude essentially a main platforming character, but Waluigi is completely, like, set aside to only be in sports games.
Right.
And side things because that's what he was created in. And I'm like, nah, man, you've got thousands of people who love this character that grew up with this character and would love to see him do more. Like, the year of Waluigi, like if you played it fucking right, man, like people would be hyped for a game with Waluigi, okay? Don't make his only like mainline outing of sorts the DDR game that no one can play anymore.
Right. I'm
And
of the
remember,
opinion
the
that
plot of that
Nintendo.
DDR game is literally it's all Waluigi's fault. Waluigi steals the fucking like keys and all that. He sets the entire plot for that DDR game to happen. He's the second level and you kick his ass. He lost the keys and everything, and now you got to go hunt him down until the final level with Bowser. Like, play him for laughs, keep him in line, amp up the memes. It's gonna be a fun time.
I mean, this has been an interesting time for Nintendo to be celebrating a lot of Mario's past in terms of, you know, the games that have not been acknowledged very often. Because we recently got the remake of Super Mario RPG. I haven't played it yet, but I
Yeah,
hear that's really good too.
dude, and it's super freaking like accurate to the original from what I hear. Like they have left in most of the in jokes. They've left in some of the things people consider were bugs. They're like, no, no, that was a feature. um, like it's really accurate to the original. It's just an HD coat of paint from what I
And then
hear.
we're
And
getting
I'm
an HD
like,
coat of paint with the
that's incredible.
Thousand Year Door next year.
Yeah, like honestly, the Switch is the best investment in a console I think I've ever made.
It's
Like
definitely
I
gotten
don't
better with a lot of the games that have been released.
Here's my thing, man. The Switch, for all of its flaws, right? Like it came out between console generations. It never was a powerhouse. But it did do something different so well that it doesn't need to be an emulation machine, but almost every game or series you want has now been ported to it.
Yeah.
You can now take almost any game you want on the go whenever you want. If there was a game like on the PS2 or like yeah, Klonoa got his entire series HD remake on the Switch. I love that. Getting Door to Phantom Isle on the PS2 to run not Door to Phantom Isle, it was oh man, I forget what Klonoa 2's
Phantom Reverie?
subtitle was. Phantom Reverie. Like that game was really hard to come by unless you went sailing. Um Even though, yeah, some of the shadows and stuff aren't perfect in the HD remake, and there's some quality of life issues, and I know people are questionable on the Wii release of the first game. It's the fact that, hey, those games are now accessible on the Switch. You can play them on the go. They're very affordable, and Namco had a platform to release it on that they knew had a younger audience built in to give the series another shot.
Fun fact, I actually owned the Wii Klonoa game back in the day.
Nice. So did
I
I.
don't know where it is. I imagine it must have gotten lost or taken or something. But yeah, I used to own it, and I knew of Klonoa on the back of my mind, but it wasn't until I saw, I think, a video from Joe Cat, the YouTuber Joe Cat, about the second game.
Yeah. So, like, I grew up with the second game, and then I played the first one through the Wii version, and then later I got the PS1 version. I had some of the GBA games. So, I always enjoyed it. And I felt like, man, the series deserves another shot. I love seeing it came back like a year ago because I don't feel things like that would happen without the Switch. I honestly feel like the Crash, Insane trilogy, the Spyro, like Reignited, yeah, it's not the Switch that probably prompted those games to be made. But again, having more limited hardware that can run older titles with a nice coat of paint being a key attractor. The fact the Scott Pilgrim game got ported to it. The fact that the Nintendo Online service, I hate that that's kind of what's replaced the eShop. But you can now get multiple generations of games on the Switch ready to go. Like it was not long ago I said the main thing I loved about the Wii U was that it was the best way for me to play Game Boy Advance games
Mm-hmm.
using the tablet controller. Like my mom was watching TV or whatever, had my Wii U in my room. I had bought some of my favorite like Game Boy games and I was playing them on the handheld. Well, now the console itself is the handheld. And with the Nintendo Switch Online service, if you're paying extra, guess what? You get those Game Boy games now. Not all of them, not the best ones in my opinion, but you now have access to these large libraries of games and classics on a portable console that can run everything usually above 30 frames per second. Like, it's playable. And it's honestly let me grow my library on some games, like again on the 360, on the PS2, games that were really hard for me to get my hands on officially.
I mean,
I
shit.
now have a port on the Switch.
I mean, shit. They released a port of a GameCube game that I didn't even know existed. Fucking Baten Kaitos. I did not know what the fuck that was before it was announced
Yeah.
on that direct.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so many good Nintendo games have been ported to it. So many good third-party developer games have been ported to it. The motion controls on it kind of suck, but the fact that you can even emulate Wii games on it to an extent, like, I never played Mario Galaxy on the Wii, but when the Super Mario 3D collection came out, I got to play that for the first time, and now it's probably one of my favorite Mario games. Like, I might even say it is my favorite Mario game. And that's because of the Switch.
Right.
Like, I don't think Nintendo's handled the Switch really well, but I will say I am so glad they made the fucking Switch.
Yeah, and an argument could be made about the fact of performance and emulation stuff. Some could argue that the Steam Deck is a better system for that kind of stuff, because I know some people that play on Steam Deck and they really abide by the idea, and I can see why. It's a very neat idea, and if it's a legitimate means for a lot of people to just have something that's portable for their Steam library, but also do a little bit of the set and sail, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like a neat prospect. They even released an OLED version of it, but the
Yeah,
Switch
and I love
did
that they
kind of
got one
open
with
the
full
doors
face.
to that kind of hardware format, and
Yeah, that
I
concept. Mm-hmm.
I still like my Switch and everything, but I can admit that there have been moments where I'd be playing something like Octopath 2 or even the demo for Dragon Quest Monsters 3, or not 3, Dark Prince, the new one that recently came
There you
out. What?
Oh, never mind. I was thinking about a different Dragon Quest game. I was like, are they making another Builders? Is that sounds like
No,
Monsters?
Monsters is essentially the creature collector.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize I had a creature collector. Dragon Quest does everything, it seems.
It does. And frankly, I prefer it over Pokemon because you can synthesize different monster combinations. Some of the monster designs are super awesome and cute.
I mean, it sounds like SMT to me, but go on.
It's got a demo out right now, I think. It should still be
I might have to
available,
try.
and considering that Square Enix's demo game is easily one of their best things they've got going on right now, I would recommend giving that a try, since you just get so much content in a demo that you can carry to the final game when you get it.
Hell, you know what? I say the revival and fucking demos. Also, I'm going to somewhat accredit it to the Switch. Like, the access that their new like Nintendo shops had, and the fact that they're like, oh yeah, you can try it today, like in their directs, not just buy it today. It's like, oh yeah, we got demos before you buy. I'm like, God, Nintendo, why weren't you like this 10 years ago?
Yeah. Well, I mean, nowadays the demo game for a lot of things is different, but I do agree that I think it was Octopath Traveler 1 that initiated the idea, where it's just, oh, here's 3 hours plus of a game that looks really cool, and if you like it, you can carry the save progress over because it's a long RPG, and you don't have to do those 3 hours over again.
You literally get. Well, then here's my thing. That's actually how the freeware method, like the original Doom and so many id games back in the day, that's literally what they were. It was like, hey, we'll release the first chapter of our game for free, but if you want to play the other two, you would call id Software and you would order the CD to come to your house. And it's like, yeah, now you got the full game and you can select, so you don't have to play the first one again if you don't want to. I'm like, this is essentially a modern version of that. And yeah, that's how it should be. Like,
Right. So,
no, I love it. I'm like, not every game needs a save file carried over, but every game should have a demo. At least, like if it's a racing game, give us one track.
If it's an RPG, give us at least like 3 to 5
Yeah,
hours.
yeah, like enough to get past the opening cinematics and just explore the world a little bit, see if we like it.
Get a
You
taste of the
know?
gameplay to see if it's our thing.
Yeah, because like, yo, I don't want to discount the modern Monster Hunter games, but I remember buying Try and like I gave it 2 to 3 hours and I could not get into it. I would have loved to have had like a Monster Hunter demo before like I bought into the hype and I'm like, oh yeah, this game sounds freaking amazing. And I get into it and it's like, oh my god, this game is nothing but a grinding slog. I hate it.
Well, that's where the demo for Monster Hunter Rise kind of came in and helped out a little bit with that.
Yeah, yeah. Like now it's like, okay, I'm willing to maybe give the game series another shot because like the first time I tried a Monster Hunter game, it sucked for me. Maybe the new ones are good, and I have a way to do that now because thank you, you put out a demo.
Right. And
So like, yeah, demos are awesome. Please, if you're a game developer, give us demos.
yeah, I mean, we literally have a show called Demonstration for a reason.
Yeah, like I absolutely love demos because they, to me, are the lifeblood of a good gaming economy.
Yeah.
Try before you buy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did with
And
Octopath 2, which, funnily enough, I just remembered. So, you know how, a lot of people had been mentioning games that had gotten snubbed or just not represented at all in the Game Awards?
Octopath didn't get too looked at, did it?
No, Octopath got no nominations in RPG or music. Music in particular was an absolute fucking thorn in the foot because, like, a lot of really good game soundtracks have been released this year, but Octopath 2 has one of those OSTs that I still think about after I've beaten it. It's so good. It's just so good. And it did not get anything. And when it came to the voting process, I guess the Game Awards might have been like, okay, yeah, we'll probably just do this, and hosted a people's vote thing, which I think is still up right now, where for a certain amount of days, you get to go in and vote for games that you think deserved a little bit of nice credit. You know, Octopath being on the list, and I picked it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I doubt that. I so I doubt anything will come about with that, but it's a nice effort.
I mean, to me, I'm still going like Bomb Rush and Hi-Fi, but you know, yeah, that game also had an amazing soundtrack. Like again, we've had so many great games this year, so many good soundtracks, so many just everything good.
But
I
then you have
honestly don't think
corporates
one
doing
award
boneheaded
show
decisions.
really. Yeah, I don't feel like one corpo run award show is really going to give us like the best overview of how great a year in gaming this has been.
Yeah, I mean, considering what you told me earlier about the Sony and Paramount thing, for the
Yeah,
uninitiated,
so yeah, let me break the news to the uninitiated, right? So if y'all didn't know, Sony's been kind of being assholes recently, right? So we are getting a new PS5 Slim with a detachable disk drive. Ain't that neat? I like that. It's like, hey, I can have this slim, nice monolith that can play my games digitally, or I can put the little like tumor on it that I actually want to play my disc games. That's great. Except that that disk drive has DRM in it that has to sync with a server so that it knows that the disk drive is legit before you can use any physical media on it.
yep,
So it's an always online disk drive. You can't watch a Blu ray movie without getting online. That is painful, okay? It could have literally been a USB 3, just external disk drive. There was no reason to do that.
and that's why
But
I'm glad.
now,
And that's why I'm glad I have just a regular old disc PS5. Could I have just
yep.
gotten the online PS5 for a bit cheaper? Yes, but here's the thing: getting discs physically in a store can sometimes lead to some really good deals. I think I got Returnal, which is considered one of a really good roguelike, and I concur to an extent, but I got Returnal for like $20, I think, at a GameStop.
Yeah, you can get some really good freaking deals on physical stuff. Well, now the promise of digital media is definitely getting tried because, you know, you would think if you bought something, you own it, right?
No.
No. So you have bought, and in Sony's press release, let me see if I can pull up the quote. Maneuvers over time. Due
I
to
remember
our
hearing
content
Microsoft is planning on a
licensing
similar thing,
arrangement.
or at the very least might advance to a similar thing because Game Pass is so
Oh,
economic for a lot of people, just being able to afford a lot of things, but then it's going to eventually transform into people not being able to own a lot of the games that they have, and it just being more like Microsoft's next hardware is just a cloud service to where you're essentially renting an Xbox to rent a lot of games.
yeah. And I mean, the X Bone failed for a reason. But
It's
I love this Sony press release right here, right? Due to our content licensing arrangements with content providers, you will no longer be able to watch any of your previously purchased Discovery content, and that content will be removed from your video library. So, okay, it's Warner Brothers Discovery, the buyout that we didn't think needed to happen after it split from AT&T last year and all that other nonsense. But the worst part of that is, right, you bought content, not a license for
mm-hmm.
content. So there was an implied trust there that you own that content and that if it was in your library, it should be able to be saved locally because you own the content that you purchased. No, all content now you have to assume on the PlayStation Network, be that games, movies, music, anything, isn't actual content that you are buying. You are buying a license to use that content, which can be revoked whenever Sony pleases, or if there is ever a legal issue with the policy holder of that content. You don't own anything and you're going to like it with Sony.
You're
And I have a problem with that.
you bought your favorite movie and you wanted to share it with a date or have a nice family gathering while you're having your holiday annual viewing of Elf. Well, congratulations, Elf will no longer be on your PlayStation console because Sony said, hey, we decided that even though you spent money on this, have a receipt on it and everything, you don't own it anymore.
And so now when they're putting DRM in their disk drive,
That's essentially going to
um,
mean people won't be able to own their games.
yeah, even if you bought a legit copy. I love the future we're marching towards, don't you?
Absolutely, he says, wanting to pour a whole ass mug of mead. Jesus.
I mean, I love gaming. I love what we're getting. I know, like, especially with indies having to sometimes publish their own games, we can't have a physical release for everything. But at this point, especially with PlayStation doing this, now is the best time for you to learn how to back up your own content onto some form of physical drive. Like,
Right. Like
I'm
I
not
have all
saying
my
that Google Cloud is a good service, but you might want a 2 terabyte external drive for just, I don't know, your DVD collection in case of a hurricane flood and you can't take your whole collection with you. Guess what? You've already ripped all the DVDs onto this hard drive. You may not have the physical CD anymore, but you do have the video, right? Same thing with any movie you buy online. find a way to rip the MP4 and put it on that hard drive, because if anyone gets a stiffy and thinks they can take your content away from you, you'll still have it.
Right.
Hell, I actually laughed because I was watching, right, One Piece, because I'm trying to catch up. This is something me and Amanda have been doing for a while now. I was watching it on my phone, and I was in the Netflix app because I've been watching it on Netflix, and I don't want to pay for Crunchyroll until I have to, because, you know, I'm a legit member of society, and I pay for all the content I view. Always. So,
Always.
always. I went to take a screenshot with my phone of this bit I thought was really funny. And of course, I watch it with subs, and I love the reaction. I paused it and I went to take the screenshot. And I noticed every time I took a screenshot, the screen was black, but the subs were still there. And I tried it in multiple spots because essentially, like, Netflix is going to try and protect Netflix's interest in having these licenses for these shows. They're trying to prevent you from doing any type of screen capture. And I wouldn't have ever thought a screen cap, like a little pic I want to use for like a meme or something, would be a problem, but it is now. So unless you're using third-party software or something to capture that image, good luck enjoying the service that you're paying for to the fullest, because you can't even make a meme screenshot off of it, because that wasn't in the terms and conditions it seems we signed up to when we got the Netflix service. So that's one of your freedoms that you thought you had not there anymore.
Luffy, make a funny face that you want to put some funny text over because you think it would make a really, really funny meme to make One Piece forums laugh.
Yep.
Well, you might have to just remember it from memory and then describe it in text. Like the 10 Commandments of One Piece.
As I say, this is a show about pirates. That's
Boy,
all I'm
isn't it
going
cool
to
to
say.
set sail?
Isn't it cool to set sail? I love my society so much.
I'm
think
fully on the idea of
corporations are
wanting to
people.
use set sail as the term for it now.
Yeah, let's set sail.
Yeah, set sail.
Yeah, let's go set sail.
Yeah.
Let's raise mast, everybody.
Raise mast. Make sure the sails are nice and repaired. Make sure the winds are good.
Yeah. Go ahead and make sure there's no barnacles on the hull.
Gotta make sure that you get plenty of supplies in for your passengers. Check for no stowaways.
Yeah, definitely got to make sure there's nothing glowing under the barge.
Make sure there's no eldritch books or anything.
Yeah. We are running a legit nautical business.
Absolutely. We have gotten plenty of fish. We have credentials. Just don't look too deeply into them.
I've got hardtack and the lights will be out.
Yup. Yeah, that's absolutely stupid. Like some of the business decisions that have been made regarding content ownership and stuff, because a lot of other decisions that have been made regarding businesses lately have been just odd but different, I guess, because Twitch finally allowed for simul streaming. That's definitely something nobody was expecting.
Oh, that's actually really freaking cool.
It is, because a lot of people can really use the extra income of getting to stream both simultaneously on Twitch and YouTube, because YouTube does a 70-30 split for anybody that falls under their partnership program requirements. Twitch does 50-50 across the board for everybody, which is not a lot. Like, at all. It's like, can you make it on Twitch for streaming and everything? You can, but a sub on Twitch costs like $5, so that means anytime somebody gets a sub to you, that streamer only earns about $2.50. So that's the fun part. So yeah, I guess that's kind of most of what's been going on. It's just been a lot considering the news updates that have been happening with the Game Awards and all of the other games that have been coming out for this year and next year. I'm gonna sense that at the Game Awards we could end up getting a major last hurrah in the announcements or something. But I'm mostly just gonna try and keep an eye on trailers and then maybe tab over to see what wins what. I'm gonna guess Baldur's Gate 3 will still win a lot of them because
Oh yeah, totally.
as much as I tend to kind of be like towards one game winning a lot of awards, Baldur's Gate deserves it, I think, because it is a legitimate labor of passion and it does deserve a lot of the recognition it has gotten. Like, I've seen people's playthroughs have aspects to it that I just had never seen in my own playthrough. And it's made me go like, oh man, I would want to make another playthrough and another character just to experience it, to go into those parts of the game that I missed and give them a try. You know, like talk to a bird that I didn't realize had a quest attached to it. Talk to the vampire companion after I talked to a different character to get more about him. Just things like that, little details that I overlooked because I beelined it to the main quest.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. It's just been a lot, but I'm glad we at least got to sit down to finally chat about it with all of you.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we did one of these. So I'm glad for the change of pace. I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thank you all for checking out the Level Up Yours today. If you have anything that you'd like to tell us about regarding gaming news or what have you, please sound them off in the comments. Let us know what if any other new info had come out, because let's face it, we live in a day and age where new info comes out like that, and it's tough to keep up with sometimes. And let's face it, a lot of times we are very busy to keeping our attention across different things. So it's nice to stay informed where we can. So with that said, thank you all for joining us. My name's Will. This is Jordan, and we'll see you all in another video.
Yep, signing out.